Congratulations, you've landed your first leadership role. Today's video is all about surviving and thriving on your first day on the leadership job. It's definitely going to be full of emotions. However, with the right approach, you can set yourself up for success. First things first, preparation is your best friend. Here's what you can do beforehand. First up, research the company and the team. Brush up on the company's vision, their values, and current projects. Hopefully you can find this from their website, but use whatever resources you have available. If you can, get a sense of your team's size, structure, and expertise. For me, making notes helps me get a few things straight in my own head. If you can access information about the team that you're about to take on, you could spend just a little bit of time trying to put names and positions together to help you out. However, I wouldn't get too caught up on this, as if it makes you feel really overwhelmed, it's probably not the mechanism that's going to work for you. I know for me, it can help because I know when I turn up on the first day, it's quite reassuring to think, oh, you're John, you work in that part. Great, I know that in my head. Next preparation step is to plan your outfit. You'll want to dress professionally, but wear something that makes you feel comfortable and confident. This is definitely my go-to when I'm entering situations where I feel uncomfortable. I know that if I can feel confident in an outfit, I can give off that aura of confidence to other people, even if I feel a little bit shaky on the inside. I have also done a video on building your confidence as a leader, which I'll link to on the screen. Now choose your outfit carefully. You don't want to stand out straight away for all the wrong reasons. Just be smart, professional, and confident in your choice. Next preparation tip is to prepare what you need. I personally wouldn't be unloading a box full of personal items on my first day, because if you don't know the setup of the office or workplace that you're going to, you may discover that it's open plan and no one has an allocated desk, and so you're then stuck with a cardboard box full of personal effects for the rest of the day, which you don't know what to do with. So I would only take the essential items that I know I need to get me through the day, and I always take a notebook and pen just in case. The next prep step is to prepare an introduction. Prepare a short introduction that highlights your experience and why you're there. This is for introducing yourself to your team. Be prepared to introduce yourself to the whole group. So a few lines with your experience prior to getting the role, and how you are really happy to meet them all and look forward to working together. That's fine. I also suggest that you prepare any questions that you need to for your manager or HR. I often do this days before I start. It's just a way of getting them out of my head and onto paper. And it could be the really silly little things that strike you in the middle of the night that you know you need to ask about, as these are usually the things that you think about after you've already accepted the role and before you actually get into that nitty-gritty detail of what you're going into. Now let's talk about the day itself and arriving like a pro. My first tip is to be punctual. Aim to arrive slightly early. It shows respect for time. However, don't arrive really early. If your manager has said everybody starts at 8:30, don't turn up at 8 o'clock, because you might not be able to get in, and they may have somebody who they've already set up to meet you and they won't be there yet, and it just makes for a bit of an awkward first start. My preference is 5 minutes early. In my mind, they would be expecting me at any moment from that point. And I'm also definitely not late. I also do a bit of a dry run before the day. So if I've never been to the building or site that I'm working on, I would Google map it, work out exactly where it is, and then determine where I'm going to park. Because if a car park isn't included, the last thing I want is to be turning up all flustered and rushed because I hadn't quite factored in that the car park's 10 minutes walk away from the site. Now, when you get there, you'll probably be taken to meet your team. So you want to be able to break the ice with your team without feeling too awkward. And it will depend on what has already been set up. If there is already a full orientation plan set up for you, you don't have to worry too much. You just have to be mentally prepared yourself for what you could face. However, if nothing has been organised, you might want to organise yourself like a little bit of a catch up with the team. but it will depend on the workplace that you're going to. If everybody's work planned and their time is accounted for, it could be inappropriate if you tell everybody to, no, don't answer the phones, everybody stop work, I'm going to talk to you all for 10 minutes. So just be really mindful of what impact it could have if you ask everybody to gather and meet with you. If it is appropriate to gather the whole team together, I would just do this over a morning tea break and just quickly stand up and introduce yourself and use that preparation that you did prior to just say a few lines about where you've been working previously, what your experience was, and who you are. The other option is just to be prepared to need to walk around to everybody individually and introduce yourself. You'll need to be prepared for a lot of small talk. However, keep it brief. Don't hold people up or make them feel awkward by asking them a whole lot of questions. Introduce yourself, ask some non-invasive questions, and then move on. Try really hard to remember what you can, so a distinguishing feature about each person that'll help you match names and people together. If it's a big team, you may not have this option. I also like to carry a notebook and a pen to jot down anything that is something I really know I'm going to want to remember. However, again, you'll have to be mindful of the situation because you don't want people to feel like you're taking notes about them. So use those instincts that you'll have stepping into a leadership role and assess the situation and decide for yourself. I would also schedule one-on-one meetings with each of the direct reports that you have. It could be that you can't do this on the actual day that you were there. However, perhaps you could talk to them all about wanting to have a one-on-one with them that week and schedule them for later in the week. But if you do have them with them, I would use that time to ask some questions and find out more about them individually, the role that they fill, and any questions that they might have for you. It can also be a useful time to ask them what worked well for them with their previous manager. You don't have to copy it, and you don't have to do anything with it except hear it. It's just good insight to have so that you understand a little bit more about them. I have also done a video on why meeting with your teams regularly in a routine one-on-one is really essential in leadership, and I'll link it here on the screen as well. Now, if you are getting some useful information from this video, could you please like and subscribe? It really helps me out a lot. And for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Nikki. I've been in leadership for 17 years and I've gone from leading just 2 people to leading leaders on multiple sites. Now back to the tips on how to connect with your team on the first day. Another tip is that active listening. Be present in all the conversations that you're having with each of those individuals. It's really important that you're listening to what they're saying, and whether that's in a one-on-one or it's when you were walking around just talking to people generally. If you are doing a one-on-one, I would just say to them, hey, I'm just going to take some quick notes. I'm meeting lots of people today and I really want to remember all these insightful conversations that I'm having. And then that way you're addressing the fact that you're taking notes while you're talking to them and it's not seeming rude, as some people can be uncomfortable with this approach. So use your judgment. Another tip is that I would really focus on today being about observation, not revolution. It's tempting to jump in and solutionize any problems that come up or anything that you see that you're like, oh my goodness, why on earth are they doing it this way? But just resist the urge, relax. Your job today is just to meet people and get an understanding. If it's a possibility, it is really useful to shadow your predecessor in the role. So if there is someone there that says, oh, you know, I was previously in your role, make sure you take advantage of that and ask them if you can have a one-on-one with them and find out more information. It's also really useful if you are able to shadow them and they're the one that's actually showing you around or introducing you to people, to see how they interact with others on the team, as that can give you some quite useful insight. I would also use this time to really take notice of the team goals and the projects that they're working on. Understand what their objectives are. Now, don't be afraid to ask questions. You could be asking about processes, team dynamics, company culture, anything of relevance for you in that role. Remember, this is your golden opportunity to ask those questions that you may think, oh, that's a bit silly, but actually for somebody new, it's completely logical to ask. You want to take advantage of the fact that you don't know anything and ask the question. Don't try and be really quick to say, oh yeah, I understand that. Actually use this time to sit back and reflect and go, oh, can you tell me more about that? Even if you think you know, this gives you great insight into how people think, how they communicate, and how things work that you can then apply later on when you do perhaps want to make a couple of changes. I would try and wrap up the day at the end with a list of to-dos. So while you were walking around and meeting people and having one-on-ones, what were some things that you picked up that you think, I actually want to go back to that? And then schedule those follow-up meetings. It could be follow-up chats with HR or your manager, or it could be with individuals in your team that you just want to wind back to. I would then create a list of things that you're going to do the next day. Remember, it is a learning process. Be yourself, be confident, and really focus on meeting people and starting to build those relationships as a new team. Don't forget to leave a comment below and tell me about your first day as a leader. And while you're at it, if you could hit that subscribe and like button, that would be amazing. And that's it. You've conquered your first day as a new leader. Thank you so much for watching.